WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Columbus police continue to look for two accused gunmen who could have a connection to a Macon incident. The shooting happened Sunday afternoon in the 900 block of 17th Street North. Police Chief Fred Chilton says two people were shot. One of those victims was driven to the hospital. The car that person was inside was also shot up. Two people are wanted in connection with that melee. Law enforcement sources tell WCBI Christopher Glenn and Devontae Farmer are wanted in connection with the shooting. Both men are facing 4 counts each of aggravated assault by Macon police. If you know where they are tonight or have any information on the shooting, call Golden Triangle Crime Stoppers. New at 6, Alcorn County's tax collector is charged with embezzlement, allegedly taking money from recycling unused vehicle license plates. Larry Ross turned himself in after being indicted on 2 counts of embezzlement and 1 count of making a fraudulent statement. State Auditor Shad White says a demand letter was also given to Ross showing that he owes the county more than $69,000. In addition to the alleged recycling scheme, investigators also accuse Ross of taking cash from fees collected by his office. Auditors believe Ross created and signed fraudulent bills of sale as tax collector. While White has also accused Ross of being responsible for nearly $50,000 in losses to the county by waiving late penalties associated with the licensing and registration of vehicles. Bond for Ross was set at $10,000. If convicted, he faces up to 45 years in prison. More than 195,000 Mississippians have tested positive for COVID-19. The State Department of Health is reporting 1,167 new COVID-19 cases today and 2 deaths. Right now, the rolling 7-day average of cases in Mississippi is 2,023. There is a 9.5% hospitalization rate. Locally, Lee County has the most new cases today with 41. Lowndes has 34, Union has 29, Pontotoc has 26, and Lafayette has 19. A Golden Triangle sheriff says Mississippi jails are working hard to prevent the spread of COVID-19 among inmates. Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott says his jail is following strict CDC and Mississippi Department of Correction procedures. The new policy mandates that all booked incoming inmates must be screened and then quarantined before being allowed around the general population. Outgoing and sentenced inmates scheduled for transfer to state prisons must quarantine and be tested before their transfer. Any inmate scheduled for transfer to state prison who tests positive remains in the county jail until they test negative. Scott says while the department has had to make many major adjustments in housing inmates, violent offenders are not being left on the street.
We tell our deputies, for example, out there, if it's something that you can write a ticket for, fine. Write a ticket, give them a summons to come to court instead of bringing them to jail and potentially, bringing COVID in there. But we don't want the criminals to think that the jails is closed, because that's not the case. If an individual out there we're dealing with has got to come to jail, they're coming to jail.
Scott says since January, 6 inmates have tested positive in his jail for COVID-19. Alabama Governor Ivey receives the COVID-19 vaccine today at a Montgomery hospital. Alabama State Health Officer Dr. Scott Harris and State Chief Medical Officer Dr. Mary McIntyre also receiving the vaccine and appear with the governor at a press conference. Their vaccinations come as the Alabama Department of Public Health says that it was expecting to receive 84,300 doses of the Moderna vaccine starting Monday and arriving at facilities in the state over the next couple of days.
But I tell you what, I'm not trying to step ahead of the line. I'm trying to say to Alabamians, you can have confidence in this vaccine and its effectiveness. And I want to prove that by showing you that I'm willing to take it. So is Dr. Harris and so is Dr. McIntyre.
Care workers across the state began receiving Pfizer's version of a vaccine last week. With legislators recently ending their session in October, they will be returning to Mississippi State Capitol on January 5th. COVID-19 ended the session earlier than normal, and then there were schedule changes. The seating assignments for legislative officials have been changed as well, along with new virtual protocols. The Capitol will require temperature checks, masks, and spaced out seating. Also, those who choose not to participate inside the Capitol can listen in virtually.
I have mixed feelings. We had a conversation as a group of senators with Lieutenant Governor Holzman about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he mentioned that it would be a good idea for us to consider maybe reporting the first week and then recessing until March the 1st.
I'm looking forward to going down, representing the people of House District 41 and the folks in Mississippi.
The same protocols will be in place with separation throughout the Capitol, mask wearing, and online participation for legislators.
Lots of sunshine out there earlier today. Our time lapse from Louisville, Mississippi, soaking up some sun today in Louisville. Everywhere else, we topped out in the mid-60s in many spots. Tupelo, Columbus, 65 degrees, the official high. Now in the upper 40s to mid-50s across our region. Crystal clear conditions all night long. We're down into the mid-30s. We have a couple of planets really close together on the southwestern horizon, Saturn and Jupiter. We can see that. We'll show you that coming up in just a few more minutes with our Skycam network. Tomorrow, though, mostly sunny day, maybe a little bit of patchy fog early, but low 60s. A shot of festive cold air just in time for Christmas later this week. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes.
And speaking of Christmas, as we get closer, airports are seeing the most travelers since the pandemic began. Folks are booking flights to visit family and friends, but the risk of the coronavirus remains in the air. Our Stephanie Poole explains how the volume of passengers has grown over the weekend. She joins us now live in the studio with more.
That's right, Joey. The Golden Triangle Regional Airport is taking all the necessary steps to keep everyone safe. While flights are running at full capacity, keeping everyone socially distanced is a growing concern during the busy weekend.
Wheels are up. Dozens are flying out of the Golden Triangle Regional Airport for the holiday season. Passengers like Susie King are traveling to reconnect with loved ones.
Came in to see and visit with my parents and my grandchildren and my families and friends.
King booked her flight from Cincinnati to Columbus. That's 2 flights to her destination. With the risk of contracting COVID-19, Keen is socially distancing herself from other travelers.
I feel completely comfort with the distance and everything that's been provided and everyone wearing their mask. It has been wonderful.
GTR Executive Director Mike Hainsey says all flights are running at a 90% capacity.
We do see a lot of people that are trying to get together with their family or need to travel. And this week, especially at the airport, the flights are running fairly full.
However, how passengers will get from here to there might look different.
Delta Airlines that flies out of GTR, though, they are limiting the capacity so that you can have an empty seat next to you if you want it.
I feel safe. Everything's been sanitized. Everything's been clean. Travel has been well.
Several airlines throughout the U.S. are doing what they can to prevent the spread of COVID-19 among passengers. For larger hubs like Atlanta, the need to stay clean is greater than ever.
We put in over 24 additional sanitizing stations. Every touch point, every 2 hours is wiped down.
And Hainsey says the airport will continue to use these safety protocols until further notice.
Both the airlines and us and our partners all are pushing very hard to make sure that people can fly safely.
The CDC recommends travelers to wear a mask and continue socially distancing themselves during the holidays.
State troopers kick off their Home for the Holidays safety campaign this week. The Mississippi Highway Patrol says its holiday travel enforcement period begins Wednesday and will end at midnight on Sunday. Troopers are reminding people to stay off their cell phones, don't drink and drive, and wear a seatbelt. During the 2019 Christmas enforcement period, MHP investigated more than 100 crashes, which included 3 deaths. With rain in the forecast, troopers say check your vehicle and road conditions before leaving home. Well, Starkville Mayor Lynn Spruill says she wants another 4 years to lead the city. The incumbent announced her re-election bid today. Spruill is touting her plans to improve the city's infrastructure, parks, and beautification efforts. She is the only candidate to announce their intention to run for mayor so far. Municipal elections will be held next year.
They're raising money to build the cross in Prentiss County. We'll have that story coming up on WCBI News.
You're watching WCBI's News at 6 with Joey Barnes.
Welcome back, everyone. A group is raising money to raise a symbol they believe will bring hope and healing to drivers across the region. WCBI's Ellie Martin has more from Prentiss County, where there's a movement to build the cross.
Inspiration for the Build the Cross project began a year ago when a retired Mississippi Department of Corrections parole and probation officer had a conversation with God.
In my talks with God, I told him if he had something he wanted me to do, I'd be glad to do it. And I repeated that a time or two during the pandemic.
After seeing a picture of a cross on the side of a Mississippi highway on Facebook, Daryl Sailors put action to his commitment.
Citizens of Prentiss County and Northeast Mississippi, we're excited about building this cross.
Since then, Sailors and others, including Prentiss County Sheriff Randy Toller, have formed a nonprofit to collect money that will put a cross on a prime piece of real estate at Highway 45 and County Road 7000. Land for the project has been donated by farmers Bill and Marie Spain. The cross will be identical to others across the state. Most of those are off of Interstate 55. The Prentiss County Cross will be the first in Northeast Mississippi, standing 120 feet tall and 64 feet wide, with a seating area at the base and parking. Sailors believes the project will be a testament to the faith of many in the region and a beacon of hope for motorists who travel the highway every day.
It's going to be a permanent reminder of what Jesus did for us all. And, you know, it's going to be seen by not only the folks here, there's thousands of people that pass that road right there. And some of them are going to come out here, and I hope we'll, you know, get to know God a little bit better in Jesus.
The budget for the project is $200,000. In his line of work, Sheriff Toller encounters people every day who have lost hope. He believes the cross will help those who are hurting.
Who knows, somebody may be at the lowest point in their life and with no telling what kind of thoughts in their mind, and they see this cross once it's constructed, and that may be the only sign of hope that they have. And who knows, they may pull in the parking lot here and you know, the Lord may touch them.
Donations are closing in on $60,000. Once they reach $100,000, talks will start with the contractor, who will have a timeline for construction of the cross project. In Boonville, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
And there was a recent anonymous donation of $25,000 for that project. All right, Keith, a starry night, if you will, sort of.
The quote-unquote Christmas star is actually two planets tonight. We got a live view here in downtown Columbus. The brighter one is Jupiter. If you go out there with your naked eye, it's almost going to look like one, but the big bright one is Jupiter. The one to the top right of it, Saturn. Pretty cool on the southwestern horizon for the next little while. I'm back with your 7-day forecast next.
Your WCBI First Alert Accuweather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Today is the winter solstice. Winter officially began this morning about 4:02. 9 hours, 55 minutes, 51 seconds of daylight today. Now we are going to be adding daylight starting tomorrow all the way until June 20th, the summer solstice, when we will have about 14 and a half hours of daylight. But this is it. We bottomed out and we will be going higher and higher as far as the daylight. Now this is live view in Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy. It looks like a bunch of black on your screen. If you look closely, I had to zoom out just a little bit, but there's a little dot right here. That is that conjunction, Jupiter and Saturn, visible with the Skycam network. I think we lost it there a little bit in Louisville, Mississippi right there. And in Tupelo, I guess it's right there, 56 degrees for you. So get out there for the next little while and try to see that with your naked eye. Pretty neat to see. If you're expecting a white Christmas this year, forget about it. Keep on dreaming. Climatologically speaking, we should not expect a white Christmas down here. A better chance for snow across the northern tier, maybe over here across the Appalachians, but for us, it's really not going to happen this year. Close but no cigar, as they say. This is the climatology. Generally 5% a chance or less here in the deep south. You just have to go farther north for better odds and across the higher terrain of the Rockies. But there could be a few wet snowflakes in the region Wednesday night, Thursday morning, but things will be nice and sunny for Christmas Day. Now, the system that will be coming in that will cool us down is way out here across Pacific Northwest right now. That's going to give us some rain. Tomorrow afternoon, or not tomorrow, I'll just go with Wednesday afternoon through Wednesday night, a ½ inch to maybe 1.5 inches of moisture in our neck of the woods here. Tonight, clear and cool. Will eventually settle down into the mid-30s, some patchy fog possible early, and then we become mostly sunny. Highs in the low 60s in many spots across North Mississippi and West Alabama for your Tuesday. So things are looking very nice here as we get into the second day of the shortened work week. Very nice and comfortable. We overachieved today, mid-60s. Probably a little bit cooler tomorrow, but still very pleasant around here with high pressure and firm control. We mentioned that front. Here it comes Wednesday. Showers start to break out in the afternoon. The steadiest or heaviest rain Wednesday evening, Wednesday night right here. Maybe a clap of thunder. Nothing strong, nothing severe. There will be some gusty breezes. And notice how there could be a little bit of frozen precip on the back edge of that before it wraps on up, but that's not going to give us anything like a white Christmas. We will be more or less sunny on Christmas Day Friday, but highs will only be around 40 degrees, lows in the lower 20s for Christmas morning. A little bit warmer as we get into your weekend.
All right, thanks, Keith. Mississippi State football is going bowling next in sports. The promise Mike Leach made to the Bulldog fans for the game.
Your WCBI Sports is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
If there was a year for a 3-7 football team to make a bowl game, it'd be 2020. Mike Leach and his Bulldogs have no complaints, though. He's happy to get his incredibly young crew some more playing experience. And what's the better way to do that? Well, to actually play into more games. Finishing the season out the way they did is promising for the future of the program, considering they've been below the 53-man threshold for the last 5 weeks. Leach praised his team for their play the last few weeks. State is coming off its most dominant offensive performance of the season, dropping a season-high 51 in Saturday's win over Missouri, trending in the right direction for their matchup with number 24 Tulsa in the Armed Forces Bowl in Texas. Now, Leach took to Twitter, making an assurance saying, quote, "Don't worry, Bulldogs. I spoke to the Armed Forces Bowl people, and we will be able to have cowbells in Amon Carter Stadium. See you in Fort Worth on December 31st. Kickoff is at 11 a.m. on ESPN. The Ole Miss Rebels' regular season ended with a one-possession loss to LSU in Baton Rouge Saturday, 53-48. Head coach Lane Kiffin said the fact that they heard they'll be playing number 11 Indiana in the Outback Bowl actually helped cushion the blow. That game's in Tampa. Kiffin was shocked Indiana didn't get a New Year's Six bowl. They're 6-1. He says it'll be good for his players despite his team losing multiple one-possession games, and he feels his team is much more competitive than it was a year ago, not too far away from getting to where they want to be.
If we're better in 2 minutes, we got 3 games we have the ball going to score to win the game, and we go for 3. And, if you win those, told them you're 7-2, you're top 10 in the country, your 2 losses are Florida and Alabama, and you're going into a New Year's Six bowl. That's not, people always say, oh, we're in 1-score games. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're in control of the game. You may have scored late, down 14 to make it a 1-score game, with 30 seconds left. So this is a different deal.
Kickoff for the Outback Bowl, 11:30 a.m. on January 2nd. You can watch it on ABC. Mississippi State men's hoops coming off a win over Central Arkansas Wednesday night. 4 players were in double figures, and now it'll play its final non-con game tonight at the Hump against Mississippi Valley State, the Delta Devils, who are 0-7 on the year. After tonight, Ben Howland's crew will be off until December 30th when they take on Georgia in Athens. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. You can watch it on ESPN+. We'll also have highlights and thoughts from Ben Howland tonight after the game at 10, right here on WCBI. The 12th-ranked Mississippi State women's basketball team is taking care of business in its non-con slate. They're 5-1 on the year, coming off a 72-49 win over Central Arkansas Sunday. Besides its one overtime loss to USF, Nikki McCray-Penson's team has won every other game this year by at least 23 points. While they took care of business easily in those last 3, she is holding her team to a very high standard and says if you miss 1 or 2 shots, do something different.
We miss layups. Again, you know, got good shots, but it's the layups that really sucks the energy out of you, and you're like, ugh, you know, and then you start to lose your confidence personally. You just gotta see it go through the net, you know, and you gotta forget about it and just move on to the next one. That's a personal thing. But you know, I talked to our team about being efficient. I want players that are gonna make shots and make the shots that they take consistently, and we didn't do that tonight. I mean, it wasn't so much them. I think it was a lack of focus on our part.
That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
Nice and sunny for a Tuesday, rain Wednesday night, but that system clears out just in time for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Joey, festive, cold air for the holiday.
You want a little cold air
we do.
For Christmas.
It'd be odd if it was 80 degrees.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good night.